And I don't know how she got backstage. She probably asked the cop to let her back, and she come in the dressing room where I was at.
They called her the Queen of Country, but behind the glory was a woman who remembered every lie, every insult, every betrayal. At 90 years old, Loretta Lynn broke her silence and named 7 musicians who betrayed her, mocked her, or tried to steal her crown. The 7 people she named weren't just rivals. They were the ghosts of her career. And when she said their names, it felt like Nashville's history cracked open. Johnny Cash was the betrayal that broke her faith. It's hard to believe that the first name on Loretta Lynn's secret list would be Johnny Cash, the man she once called her brother in the Lord. They came from the same American dust. In the early 1970s, they toured together, prayed together, and often sat backstage swapping verses from the Bible. Loretta trusted him more than almost anyone in Nashville. That's why 1978 felt like a knife in the back. Loretta had been invited to appear on a nationally televised gospel special hosted by Cash. She saw it as an honor, even flew in early to rehearse. Then just 48 hours before the taping, she got a phone call. Her segment was canceled. Weeks later, a sympathetic producer told her what really happened. The decision, he said, came from Johnny himself. He thought she was too outspoken, too political for gospel TV. To Loretta, who had risked her career singing about birth control and battered women, those words were a betrayal of everything she stood for. He knew I was fire, she later told a friend, but he was supposed to be my shield. She never forgave him. When Cash mailed a handwritten apology in 1983, she read it once, folded it neatly, and locked it inside a cedar box. Decades later, when a journalist mentioned his name, she simply said, "Some ghosts don't rest easy." For Loretta, that was over. Reba McEntire was the thief of her throne. Second on Loretta's secret list, and this one really stung, was Reba McEntire. Yeah, the red-headed powerhouse who Nashville once crowned the new Queen of Country. That title alone was enough to light a fire under Loretta. Because the truth is, Loretta Lynn was still touring, and still the queen when Reba came along, acting like she no longer existed. It started in 1983 when Country Music Magazine ran a full cover calling Reba the fresh face of country. Loretta, who had just released Making Love from Memory, reportedly threw the magazine across the room. "Fresh face," she said. "Honey, I ain't even cold yet." But what really broke the last thread between them was the 1987 CMA Awards. Reba performed one of Loretta's signature songs, "You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man," and the crowd went wild. But she never once mentioned Loretta's name. Loretta sat in the front row, arms crossed, expression stone cold. Backstage, when Reba walked by, Loretta didn't even blink. Reporters said she told her manager, "I don't clap for thieves." That line spread across Music Row, and Reba never apologized for this speech. After that night, Loretta's silence toward Reba became legendary. No interviews, no collaborations, not even casual mentions. She didn't hate Reba's voice. She hated the idea of her, the industry's new toy, wrapped in glitter and marketed as her replacement. Conway Twitty was the partner who stole her spotlight. Number 3 on Loretta's no forgiveness list was none other than Conway Twitty, the man everyone thought was her soulmate on stage. But here's the part fans never knew. Behind those sweet duets and teasing smiles, Loretta couldn't stand him by the end. She once said privately, "They called us a duet, but somehow it was always his show." It all started after their 1973 hit, Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man, blew up. Every magazine cover screamed, "Conway's magic with Loretta," not their magic, his. Reporters asked him about their chemistry, and he'd wink and say, "She just follows my lead." That was it for her. But Loretta didn't follow anyone. She'd been writing her own songs and selling out arenas before he ever touched a mic next to her. Things really exploded in 1979. Conway gave a backstage interview in Atlanta and joked, "Loretta still got it for her age." He thought he was being funny. Loretta was right there within earshot. She didn't say a word until her cue came that night. The band started her intro. The crowd screamed and she just didn't walk out. Conway stood there alone under the lights while the band scrambled. After that, she stopped answering his calls. When fans begged for another duet album, she told her manager flatly, "You can't sing harmony with an ego." Nashville never forgot that line. Tammy Wynette was the rival who played the victim. Ever wonder what really happened between Loretta Lynn and Tammy Wynette? Let's just say the two queens of country crown was never big enough for both of them. Loretta didn't just dislike Tammy. She despised what she stood for, and it all came down to one song, Stand By Your Man. To the world, that song was a timeless anthem. To Loretta, it was everything she fought against. "I never needed a man to stand by me," she once snapped. "I told him to move." That was a bullet aimed straight at Tammy. Their feud started quietly in the late 60s when record labels began pushing Tammy as America's sweetheart, the soft-spoken woman who sang about loyalty and heartbreak. Meanwhile, Loretta was out there raising hell, writing about birth control, cheating husbands, and women fighting back. Things got worse when the CMA Awards of 1970 rolled around. Tammy won Female Vocalist of the Year, and during her speech, she said, "I'd like to thank the Lord for keeping me humble." Loretta, sitting in the audience, rolled her eyes and muttered loud enough for people around her to hear, "She's humble like a fox in a fur coat." They avoided each other after that. Promoters tried to pair them for a duet album. Loretta flat out refused. "I don't share a mic with someone who plays weak to sell records." And just like that, the rivalry became legend. Olivia Newton-John was the pop star who invaded her territory. Now here's where things really get spicy. Number 5 on Loretta's grudge list was none other than Olivia Newton-John. Yep, the golden girl from Australia who looked too perfect to ever get dirt on her boots. And that right there was exactly Loretta's problem with her. It all blew up in 1974 when Olivia, a pop singer, won the CMA Award for Female Vocalist of the Year. Nashville went wild with applause, but Loretta nearly choked when she heard it. She turned to her tour manager and said, "What's next? The Beatles for Best Bluegrass?" To Loretta, this was about authenticity. She'd spent years clawing her way up from a coal miner's shack, writing songs about broken hearts and hard work. Then came Olivia, claiming to represent country music. Loretta didn't buy it for a second. When the CMA invited her to present an award the following year, she refused to attend, saying she had scheduling conflicts. But backstage, everyone knew the truth. She told a friend, "I ain't clapping for no pop star playing cowboy." It didn't stop there. In interviews, Olivia talked about wanting to bring country to the mainstream. Loretta fired back privately, "We don't need saving, we need respect." From that moment, Loretta drew a line in the sand. Real country came from dirt, not from disco lights. Crystal Gayle was the sister who forgot her roots. This one hurts the most. Number 6 on Loretta's list wasn't a rival or an industry enemy. It was her own sister, Crystal Gayle. And according to people close to Loretta, that betrayal cut deeper than any headline or awards snub ever could. They came from the same Kentucky dirt, but by the late 1970s, they were living in two different worlds. Loretta was the tough, plain-spoken coal miner's daughter. Crystal was all silk gowns, shiny hair, and crossover pop success. When Crystal's "Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue" hit number 1 in 1977, the press called her the elegant future of country. Loretta reportedly muttered, "Future, huh? Guess I'm the past now." Things exploded in 1992 during Loretta's televised 60th birthday tribute. Every country legend showed up except Crystal. Her team said she had a schedule conflict, but Loretta didn't buy it. She told a friend later, "You show up for family unless you forgot where you came from." Still, Loretta stayed quiet until a joint interview a few years later. When the host asked Crystal what Loretta meant to her career, Crystal smiled politely and said, "She was influential." That one word broke something inside Loretta. From that day, she never agreed to another shared appearance. So what do you think? Was Loretta right to hold on to those grudges, or should she have let the past fade away? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss more untold stories from country music's wildest legends.